chairs of the committee present who are here. Dido Raso, who is the vice chairperson of the Departmental Committee of Administration. Mr. John Kiarie, Honorable Chairperson for Departmental Committee of Communication, Information and Innovation. Honorable Dr. James Nyikal, who is the Chairperson of Health. And Honorable Robert Kishimu, who is representing the Chairperson for the Departmental Committee of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives. Honorable members present, Mr. James Potts, the Economic Counselor from the U.S. Embassy, senior government officials present, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning once again. It's always a great pleasure for me to be in the presence of honorable members. I get very nostalgic about it because it's just the other day that we were together. People like Honorable Dido Raso, we spent time with Kiarie Gishimu in some of these hotels here outside our parliamentary duties, conducting different political issues here and thinking about the country. Little did I know that I will be exiting parliament to serve in this part of the government, which is the executive. But I'm very happy to be here, and I'm also very happy that there is a very significant turnout in all the committees invited to come here. It's not easy to get honorable members of parliament, especially on a Friday. This is really great sacrifice on your side, and it shows that you give a lot of consideration to this business, and particularly the importance of this subject that's before us. Allow me to start by thanking you for joining us today to discuss this Strategic Goods Control Bill of 2025. This bill is the culmination of years of robust engagement by various public agencies, partners, key stakeholders to better manage and regulate the trade of strategic goods in Kenya. The work of this bill began over a decade ago, precisely on the 10th of March of 2015, when the government resolved to take proactive steps to manage chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear materials. This commitment led to the establishment of the National Chemical, Biological, Radiological, and Nuclear Reference Center and the development of strategic trade control laws tailored in CBRN risks. These efforts build on Kenya obligation under international treaties, including Biological Weapons Convention, the Chemical Weapons Convention, the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, and the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1540, which requires all the UN member states to prevent the spread of weapons of mass destruction, their delivery systems, and related materials. We recognize that the African continent plays a very critical role in the global supply chain as a source of raw material, unfortunately, a source of raw material, a transit route, and a destination of strategic goods, technologies, and related services. As you may have seen in that particular role of African countries, the missing part is manufacturing. The rest is we are both the source of raw material and consumers. Kenya's strategic position as a regional hub for trade and transit has been a notable rise in the trade of strategic and dual-use goods. In East and Central Africa, we provide the biggest corridor for bulk movement of transit goods, including the strategic goods from the port of Mombasa through the Northern Corridor to the interland countries, including Tanzania, Uganda, East DRC, Rwanda, Burundi, Zambia, Ethiopia, and South Sudan. While this growth is welcome, it also exposes the country to very serious risks. Criminal and terrorist elements have previously exploited these goods, leading to tragic consequences. The 1998 U.S. Embassy bombing in Nairobi remains a painful reminder, as does the fertilizer-based bombs attack on Moi Avenue in 2012, which claimed 33 lives and injured much more. In recent years, the recurrent IED attacks constructed using repurposed materials from strategic goods have resulted in the deaths of both civilians and security personnel in the northeastern region and Lamu County, particularly within the Boni enclave. These incidents highlight the urgent need for stronger oversight and regulation. Now more than ever, we must implement strategic goods control measures that enable legitimate trade while safeguarding our national security and public safety. The Strategic Goods Control Bill 2025 introduces several critical measures. First, it requires all entities dealing with items listed in the National Control List, including those with military or nuclear applications, as well as dual-use goods, to obtain permits for their import, export, and transit. Second is that the bill regulates brokers, middlemen involved in the deals for strategic goods, even if the goods are not shipped through or handled in Kenya. This ensures that the Kenyan entities cannot be used to facilitate illegal trade, no matter where the goods are located, sending a clear message to the region and globally that we have a zero tolerance to illicit trade practices. Third, the bill extends controls for electronic transmission, such as software and digital data that can be used to develop weapons of mass destruction. In this day and age, dangerous technology is not just physical, it can be shared electronically too. And the chair of the ICT Innovation Committee, National Assembly, has captured very well, and I can see that he is well versed with this subject of technology, AI, blockchains, and all these other emerging technologies and technology of the future, and the danger that it poses in our country and the region and the world. Fourth, the bill sets out strict penalties for violations, ensuring enforcement is consistent with both national and international laws. Honorable members, the Strategic Goods Bill 2025 establishes a comprehensive system to regulate the trade of strategic goods, including dual-use items, munitions, and materials. They could be used in the development of weapons of mass destruction. The bill is designed to strengthen both national security and economic opportunities for our people. It will help align Kenya with international trade standards, making the country attractive to global partners, and also improve access to emerging technologies for peaceful and innovative uses. The bill also enhances border control to prevent smuggling and unauthorized diversion of sensitive material, while supporting peace and security by limiting access to such goods by terrorist groups and organized criminals. Ultimately, the legislation positions Kenya as a leader in strategic trade control on the continent, joining the ranks, as has been mentioned by Mr. Potts earlier, of South Africa and Morocco. The Strategic Goods Control Bill 2025 is proactive measures to fortify our national security while promoting legitimate trade. It reflects our commitment to international obligations and our determination to prevent the misuse of strategic goods. On behalf of this ministry, we respectfully seek your support for the passage and enactment of this important law. I appreciate the fact that the honorable members are present here, and it is our responsibility in the executive to seek ambassadors, to proactively seek ambassadors and to engage members of parliament beforehand if we really want to have useful and quality bills. I must say this, that for the years I was in parliament, every time we had prior interaction with a bill in this manner, it was easy to have the right people making the right interventions on the floor, because As you may very well know, and it's been also captured by the honorable members, including the ICT chair, is that we are in the age of misinformation, disinformation, and fake news. And in the process, if you do not have honorable members who have gone through the bill, in detail and ask questions at this stage, we will all join in the propaganda. And that's why, as Honorable Russell said, it is dangerous to bring a bill in the sunset hours of Parliament, because then it is easy to bring all kind of propaganda around it. We also saw in the last year's conversation in the finance bill that in the end, we all talk about the consequences of the protests that ensued as a result of that bill. But we never asked ourselves, what was the validity of that protest? Was it founded on truth? What was it? What is that was being pursued in this particular bill? In the end, we have dragged our young people to the streets, but purely on disinformation, misinformation, and fake news. In the end, there is a verse in the Bible that says, if a man must die, you better die for the truth. It must not be that you are dying because you are committing a sin. So in the end, you find many people are acting, and sometimes rationally and sometimes irrationally. Then it leads to unintended consequences, only because the whole information was founded on fake news. And then you ask yourself, in the end, what was the legitimate objective that was being pursued that one would sacrifice their life for? It is important that we do our best to ensure that the right information is on the floor of the House. I have personal experience in Parliament that, and maybe exaggerating this, but it is almost truth, that I suspect less than 10% of members of Parliament get to read a bill. It's less than 10%. And I am saying this having been a majority leader. Even as a majority leader, if you are given 5, 6, 7 bills, it's very difficult in many cases to read all of it. So you go for the salient features. And most of you look at the memorandum attached behind, then you look at it. Then you wait for the next rumor. And so if there is a rumor in town that this bill is being sponsored to finish the people of your constituency, then suddenly that becomes the position. And so this engagement, hopefully, by the time this bill goes to the Parliament, having more than 20 members of Parliament sitting here today is more than enough. Because in the first place, the most critical bills in Parliament are passed by less than 50 members of Parliament. If nobody calls for quorum, all the bills will be passed by about 20 or 30 people. Yeah, you are lucky if someone says quorum, then maybe 65 or 70. So having you here means a lot to us in the ministry, because as a former member of Parliament, I know the value that comes with your presence here, and therefore I think the quality time that is be spent here is interrogating the various sections of the bill and then helping us to better the bill itself before we can bring it to Parliament. Then when you are championing it, you can confidently tell the country and your colleagues in Parliament that you have interrogated and looked at this bill properly. I also want to thank our development partners who have helped us work together on this very important bill. I want to truly appreciate the U.S. government herein represented by Mr. James Potts for the work they have done. Sometimes I see in social media, newspapers, very casual reference to our relationship with the United States. I think it's important for the people of Kenya to know that the relationship between Kenya and the U.S. is deep, and that we have very strategic partnerships, particularly in the security sector. And Kenya, there has been a mutual benefit for the two countries insofar as our cooperation on various sectors, whether it is education, whether it is health, and also speaking from the security sector, is that U.S. is our main strategic partner globally on matter security, and therefore We want to appreciate them for participating and supporting us in particularly dealing on issues that manage chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear weapons and materials, things that U.S. has vast experience by virtue of their leadership position or the leadership position they occupy globally. So thank you, Mr. Potts, and you pass our regards to you, the government of the United States and the embassy, and through the embassy for the work that we are doing together. And I look forward to even more areas of collaboration together to move these strategic areas of cooperation forward. Second, I would like to appreciate the committee, the strategic team chaired by the two members here present for the work they have done. This is no mean feat, but please, as members of parliament, help us pass the law so that these people do not continue in workshops preparing the bill again. We need them to do another job. I have been there before. I've served in task force before I became a member of parliament, and I know it takes a lot of work to come together and put together bills, but also the wealth of knowledge that you accumulate in the fullness of time makes you experts. Now you can confidently say, as the committees, that you are experts in this area of controlling the strategic goods in our country. And therefore, you can continue supporting. I had Honorable Kiarie ask for support in Parliament. Also, some of you who served here may also get a job to go and head that departments or strategic think tank within Parliament through the Parliamentary Service Commission, if you get that chance to go and serve and advise. I know, and I must say here, I know our staff in Parliament, our clerks, lawyers, and strategic advisors in Parliament are some of the best in the world. So those of us who have proposed bills, sometimes you want quick write-up on a bill, including a bill like this one, without the presence of a very strong supportive staff, parliamentarians may not be able to do their job the way they would like to do, because they are busy people going to their constituencies, coming back to Parliament, juggling between work in the Parliament and outside, and I think our staff do a fantastic job. And thank you very much. Being with honorable members also in such a very strategic and important week makes me think that once we are done with this bill, I may want also your support, Honorable Raso and your colleagues. We think through another bill, and particularly around, I think the country has been grappling with the subject of enforced disappearance. And there has been many questions that has been asked around this subject, particularly on cases of kidnappings and abductions. And this, it is important. If you look at this bill that we have proposed here, the strategic goods bill, if you look at the punishment in terms of violations in the bill, you realize that the fine is 50 million, you know, and you see that the sentence is up to 10 years. So you can see the seriousness that is applied insofar as this bill is concerned. I think that it's also time we have honest conversation about enforced disappearance and put in place proper legal frameworks that deals with any cases of abductions and kidnappings that may happen in the country. Even as we discuss these issues that have been properly raised by civil society and citizens who fear that in some cases people have disappeared only to reappear, we also have increasing cases of fake kidnappings and abductions. And these self-abductions and self-kidnappings, you know, they make nonsense of the serious subject that we are dealing with of abductions. And I'm saying this with utmost respect because last year, December, there was a gentleman called Norbert Mulwa who staged an abduction. And then he was finally found to be hiding in Kitengela in December last year and extorting money from the sister. And he was taking pictures, having tied himself and taking pictures and sending to family because he wanted money from the sister. We have also had cases where spouses fake abductions just to run away from their other spouses for many different reasons. And this is not a laughing matter. This is a serious global issue. We have also now seen cases of this matter has now escalated to a level where in the situation we have been handling this week, where a member of parliament is abducting himself. And this is serious because a member of parliament is a person who occupies a very high office. And this comes after we lost another member of parliament who was unfortunately shot, and the case is in court. So when a member of parliament participates in this very comical act of self-abduction, it generally creates despondency among the population. And it also lightens, it makes cheap and lighter a serious subject matter of abduction. And therefore, I'd like to request members of parliament, I know you had said earlier that as technology advances, I think people are becoming stupider. If there is such an English word we have invented today, or incorrigibly, incorrigibly stupid. And so some of the, what happened this week really has made me think that we need your support, Honorable Dido Raso and the Security Committee and the rest of the committees and members of parliament to come up with a serious law. And this has been done. We've been combing through the law to find out what exactly is such a member of parliament going to be charged with. And you realize that most of the offenses that he has committed may be lighter. We need a more serious law that will provide serious punishment for people who are faking kidnappings. And it's even worse because this week, and I want to say this, our security officers do a fantastic job. The National Police Service has done a fantastic job over time. Those who serve in security committee know the sacrifices the police officers in Northeastern, for example, now that we are discussing strategic goods bill, suffering attacks with IEDs, the enemy from the neighboring country. All those security officers are really sacrificing, doing a lot. The National Police Service, the IG, the deputy IGs, and all this team are doing a fantastic job. Only for someone to write a script, abduct themselves, and then come and stupefy, the entire police service and say, there is this squad, attacking this, arresting that other person, there is whatever, tribalize the police, and then only to eventually realize that the same script ends up with a very enjoyable night for a member of parliament with the company of two. You will read the statement. With the company, enjoying himself with two Tusker Lager, and accompanied by other benefits and resources throughout the night, only for someone to be dropped in some corner. Nobody says who recorded him. Nobody wants to say who recorded him, at what corner. I think this event of this year, I see many Kenyans making it a joke on social media. Tomorrow, this similar person will stage a killing of somebody or another very terrible abduction which will go wrong, and then we will come back here and say this government, that government. We must thank President William Ruto because he has kept his word that extrajudicial killings and violation of the law shall be a thing of the past. And because this is not happening, now people are doing it on themselves. So you must help us. You must help us by having a proper legal framework that will enable us to punish such cases and punish them properly. You must also help us, a member of parliament, that no one will be above the law. Yeah, that if you ever occupied a higher office in the past, it is not an insurance for you to incite the public and to stage such kind of acts. So it is as dangerous as these selling dangerous goods. And we need to converse together to move forward. Otherwise, I truly appreciate, I can easily be carried away because I'm in presence of members of parliament, and I look forward to even greater engagement in the future in many other bills. We are going to propose bills on regulations, to look at the regulations on the village elders. We will need the support of National Assembly and Parliament. We are going to look also a few other issues on administration. We have established also National Government Administration Police Unit, and there are certain things that will come. Nemi also this I may be the lone voice, but I want to register it on record that I appreciate the work members of parliament do in the security sector with the National Government Constituency Development Fund. And if the time comes for public participation or any conversation around these resources, I am going to continue being on record to be the cabinet secretary who supports the presence of NGCDF in the country. I believe, and this is not just political statements, I did so when I was a senator. I believe that money that have gone to the corner of Kenya, somewhere in Elwak, despite the conversation about whether I love my MP or not, I believe that money is more devolved than the ones that come to the county headquarters. And so, if those resources are being appropriated by locals in a village in certain corner, and they are saying we want to build this police station, we want to build this chief's office, we want to build a sub-county office, I don't think it is right for us to say, return that money back to Nairobi, so that we can now all of us go and queue in the Ministry of Education to beg for money for classes, the Ministry of Interior to ask for money for police station, Ministry of Agriculture to ask for this. I think that we can, within the remaining 1 year that the courts have given us to relook at the CDF law and so forth, we can fashion it a little better, but the concept of having national government CDF is extremely important, and even more important for the security and security-prone areas like the marginalized and ASAL areas. So my voice, I will be giving my voice both as a cabinet secretary but also as a citizen of this country, that these resources need to go further, not to come back. And we need, as I sat in the task force on devolved government, so I was part of the people who drafted the 6 laws for devolution before I became a senator. And if you look at Article 6 of the Constitution, it doesn't say devolution is a factor of counties. Devolution also is a principle that applies to national government, so that it says that the devolved system of government must make government, national government, even if their functions are national in nature, they must be able to use the principle of devolution to decentralize resources and functions closer to the people. So I want us to look at Article 6 from that perspective. And therefore, maybe I'm selfish, but I have seen what CDF does for security, and I am looking for partnership with members of parliament. We build more security installations, especially police stations. Most of our police stations in some areas are looking very bad. Some in some constituencies are fantastic. I like to see a common structures of police stations, chief's offices. When I went to Marsabit the other day, I went to open a chief's office built by Honorable Dido Raso and their CDF in that place, and I looked, it was very good. And I went to another one in Machakos and other places when we were doing Chukwala Usalama. I really want to see a lot of this, and we have instructed National Police Service to give us standard model of a police station, so that we have one model for across the country, and we are also developing a standard office of the chief and the standard office of ACC, DCC, county, so that we all of us build standard offices across the country and allow our officers to operate in respectable offices, not like the Naivasha DCC office, which is a colonial office. Thank you very much, and may God bless you. Asante sana.